All right.
Thank you. Y'all may be seated. Is the plaintiff ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Is the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. All right, anything before we bring in the jury?
No, Your Honor.
We bring in the jury. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that y'all had a good lunch. Thank you for being back promptly, too. I really appreciate that. One of the things about court and home court is we always try not to waste any of your time. And so I do appreciate y'all doing the same, being here on time. What I want to do to begin with is just give you a little bit of an introduction as to what your job in this is and what my job is. I briefly mentioned it earlier that my duty as a judge is not to be the finder of fact, but to actually charge you on what the law is. I have also the duty of determining what type of evidence will be admissible in this case. So you may at some point hear objections or anything or something like that. You may hear me rule on those objections. That's part of my job. But your job as jurors is to determine what the facts of this case are. Now, as I previously mentioned, the facts of this case, in this case, is going to be a little different in that liability is not an issue. You are to determine what the damages are in this case, but you'll base that off of the testimony and the facts that you see in this case. Now, ultimately, if I make any kind of ruling or I do anything during this trial that indicate to you that I have some opinion on what the facts are, please ask you to disregard that. That's not my duty. The law doesn't allow me to have an opinion on the facts of this case. That's what you're here for. Ultimately, you'll hear testimony from the witness stand, and you'll also be able to probably see some exhibits and take a look for yourself and determine what's you to be believable and what may not be believable. Ultimately, you will be the judge of the credibility of witnesses. You'll take a look at these witnesses and determine if somebody may have something to gain, or if somebody was perhaps not impartial in what they're stating, or if they are. But ultimately, that's up to you, and you will be the finders of fact in this case. In just a moment, we're going to hear opening arguments by the plaintiff, and then the defense will have an opportunity to give their opening statement as well. I will tell you that opening statements and also closing statements and any other statements from the attorney in this case are not facts. They are simply the opinions they wish to state and what they believe that the evidence and facts will show you. So I just simply state that they are not testifying. They are simply stating what they intend to show throughout the trial of this case. I expect for this to be a very short case. I don't expect that it will take too terribly long, but I ask you to pay close attention. I believe that the plaintiff and the defendant both in this case deserve that. That being said, I will also tell you that ultimately, when we take breaks and things like that, I am specifically ordering you not to discuss anything about this case until you've heard everything, and until I specifically instruct you that you may begin your jury deliberations. The reason that we do that is because you don't know everything about this case yet, and you won't until the entire case is finished. And after the case is finished, we'll have what we call closing arguments, and I will charge you exactly on what the law of South Carolina is concerning these matters. But again, I thank you for your willingness to serve. I appreciate it. I know that both the plaintiff and the defense do as well. So we will begin with opening statements. Counsel.
Good afternoon. My name is Roy Willie, and along with Matt Burgess and our law firm, we have had the pleasure and honor of representing Dawn Conley and her family over the course of the last several years. This is a case about a mother's love. It is a case about Dawn's love for her daughter. But it's also a case about a community and a state and a nation that have watched in jaw-dropping agony and in hopeful admiration over the course of the last 16 years as Dawn has fought for justice for her daughter. First to find her, then to figure out what happened, and ultimately to hold everybody who played a role accountable in every single way possible. That's what this case is about. And this week, you're going to see that story, I hope, over the course of just a day. The good news is that over the course of the last 16 years, although there have been mountains of evidence collected and video captured, testimony taken, witnesses identified, we have worked extremely hard